Hey there, curious minds and fellow truth seekers. Welcome back to another episode of Broadcasting Seeds, the podcast where we dig deep, plant some intriguing ideas, and watch them grow into full-fledged thoughts that might just change the way you see the world. I'm your host, Bennett Tanton, and today we're going to climb up a mountain, both figuratively and literally. Buckle up, because this episode is all about a place where history, myth, and mystery collide in a spectacular fashion. That's right, we're talking about Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon isn't just any mountain, it's a towering peak in the Anti-Lebanon range, standing tall at the borders of Lebanon, Syria, and Israel. This mountain has seen it all, from ancient armies clashing on its slopes to modern-day geopolitical chess games being played out. But that's not all. Oh no, my friends. Mount Hermon is also wrapped in a cloak of myth and legend, with stories that span the divine to the downright bizarre. In ancient times, Mount Hermon was said to be a meeting place of the gods, a divine hangout, if you will. According to some ancient texts, it's where the Watchers, a group of fallen angels, descended to earth. And if you're familiar with the Book of Enoch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This mountain is where these celestial beings supposedly made their pact. And, well, things got a little out of hand after that. But fast forward to today, and the mystery only deepens. Did you know there's a United Nations base perched right on top of Mount Hermon? That's right. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that pretty suspicious. Why is the UN of all organizations so interested in this mountain? Are they just there for peacekeeping, or is there something more? Something they're not telling us? In today's episode, we're going to explore all these angles and more. We'll take a journey through time, from Mount Hermon's ancient strategic importance to its current role in modern military tactics. We'll delve into the mythological lore that surrounds it, angels, demons, and everything in between. We'll also question what the UN might be up to on those mysterious slopes. Are they protecting us from something? Or perhaps, are they hiding something from us? Food for thought, isn't it? So, sit back, relax, or maybe grab a cup of coffee, whatever helps you think best, because we're about to embark on a journey to uncover the mysteries of Mount Hermon. Stay tuned as we dig deep into this enigma of a mountain, unraveling the past and present in search of truth. Let's start our journey back in time. Picture it. Ancient times, vast armies, and Mount Hermon looming over them like a silent sentinel. Why, you ask? Was this mountain so crucial to those ancient civilizations? Well, to understand that, we need to talk a bit about geography. And I promise, I'll keep it interesting. Mount Hermon stands tall in the Anti-Lebanon mountain range, and its location is quite literally a prime piece of real estate. You see, back in the day, controlling the high ground was everything, and Mount Hermon? It's the highest point for miles. From its snow-capped peak, you could see enemy movements from a distance. Imagine being an ancient military commander with that kind of vantage point. You'd know exactly when your enemies were coming, where they were headed, and how best to prepare for them. It was like having the world's best security camera. No batteries required, but it wasn't just about keeping an eye on the enemy. Mount Hermon also served as a natural fortress. Its rugged terrain and steep slopes made it incredibly difficult for any invading force to conquer. Armies that tried to scale it found themselves exhausted before they even reached the top. And for those who managed to make it up there, well, Let's just say the defenders had a bit of a home field advantage. Picture a bunch of frustrated soldiers slipping on icy slopes, hurling insults or maybe a few rocks down at their equally frustrated enemies. The mountain almost fought for itself. The strategic importance of Mount Hermon didn't go unnoticed. The ancient Canaanites, the Israelites, the Assyrians, and later, even the Romans all wanted a piece of the action. Control the mountain, control the land. It was a simple equation, but one that held immense power. This mountain wasn't just a giant pile of rocks. It was a key to regional dominance. And speaking of rocks, did you know that some of those stones have ancient inscriptions on them? That's right. As these various civilizations jockeyed for control, they left their marks, literally carved into the stones of Mount Hermon. These inscriptions tell tales of battles fought, treaties signed, and of course the spoils of war. A bit like ancient graffiti, but with a touch more class, or maybe not, depends on your perspective. Now let's fast forward a few thousand years to the 20th century. Mount Hermon found itself once again in the thick of things during the conflicts between Israel and its neighbors, and today it remains a critical point of interest for modern military forces. There are still lookout posts up there, high-tech versions of those ancient watchtowers, equipped with all the latest gadgets and gizmos to keep an eye on the border below. It's as if Mount Hermon, with all its history, just refuses to retire from its role as the ultimate watchtower. But here's where things get even more interesting. Despite its strategic importance, Mount Hermon isn't just a place of military might. It's also deeply woven into the fabric of myth and legend. And that, my friends, is what we're going to explore next. From ancient myths of divine encounters to the whispers of supernatural beings, Mount Hermon holds secrets that have yet to be fully uncovered. So stick with me as we venture beyond the battlefield and into the realm of the gods and fallen angels. What did ancient people believe about this mountain? And why do those beliefs persist even today? Stay tuned, because we're just getting started. All right, friends, we've climbed the strategic slopes of Mount Hermon, but now it's time to ascend even higher, into the realm of myth and legend. If you thought the mountain's history was intriguing, wait until you hear the stories that have been whispered around campfires for thousands of years. Mount Hermon isn't just a military outpost. It's a place where the mortal meets the divine, where heaven touches earth, and where, according to some, the supernatural has left its mark. So, let's start with one of the most mysterious and controversial texts out there, the Book of Enoch. Now, if you're not familiar with it, the Book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish religious work ascribed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah. It's not included in the canonical Bible, but it has been a source of fascination and speculation for centuries. And guess what? Mount Hermon plays a starring role in this cosmic drama. According to the Book of Enoch, Mount Hermon is where a group of angels known as the Watchers descended to earth. These weren't your typical harp-playing, halo-wearing angels. Oh no, these were rebellious angels who, according to the story, decided to take a little detour from their heavenly duties. They descended upon Mount Hermon, not to sightsee, but to make a pact, an oath that they would defy the divine order. And why, you ask? Well, their motives were quite earthly, to put it mildly. They were interested in the daughters of men, if you catch my drift. Now, this descent wasn't just a casual heavenly hangout. This was a full-blown celestial rebellion. The Watchers took an oath to go against the will of God, right there on the slopes of Mount Hermon. And from that moment, things took a turn for the strange. These angels taught humanity forbidden knowledge, everything from magic and astrology to weaponry and cosmetics. Basically, they gave humans a crash course in all things taboo. And what did this lead to? Well, according to the lore, it led to chaos, the rise of giants, and eventually a flood of biblical proportions. Yep, that flood. The one Noah built an ark for. It all allegedly ties back to this angelic rendezvous on Mount Hermon. But why Mount Hermon? Why did these angels choose this particular peak for their cosmic conspiracy? Some believe it's because Mount Hermon was considered a sacred boundary, a place where the divine and the earthly realms intersected. In the ancient world, mountains were often seen as the meeting places of gods and men, and Mount Hermon, with its towering presence and commanding view, certainly fits the bill as a spot where heaven and earth might just collide. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The name Hermon itself is thought to mean anathema or curse in ancient Semitic languages. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's a clue left for us to ponder. A cursed mountain where cursed beings made a cursed pact. Sounds like the perfect setting for a supernatural thriller, doesn't it? And the legends don't stop with the Book of Enoch. Throughout history, various cultures have woven their own stories around Mount Hermon. From ancient Canaanite myths to Phoenician folklore, the mountain has been a backdrop for tales of gods, demons, and mystical creatures. Some stories speak of portals to other dimensions. Others suggest the mountain is a beacon for extraterrestrial visitors. That's right. Some folks believe Mount Hermon is a hotspot for UFO sightings. We'll get to that a bit later, so stay tuned. Now, before you dismiss all of this as just ancient superstition, think about this. Why do these stories persist? Why do they continue to capture our imagination? Could it be that there's more to Mount Hermon than meets the eye? Or perhaps these tales are a reflection of something deeper, a symbolic representation of the eternal struggle between good and evil, knowledge and ignorance, order and chaos. Whatever the case, Mount Hermon's mythological lore continues to fascinate scholars, theologians, and conspiracy theorists alike. It's a mountain that seems to hold more questions than answers, a place where the past and the present blur, and where the line between fact and fiction is as foggy as the clouds that often shroud its peak. And speaking of modern-day mysteries, let's move on to the current enigma sitting atop Mount Hermon, the United Nations base. Why is it there? What are they doing? Are they just peacekeeping, or are they keeping something from us? I don't know about you, but I think it's time to dig a little deeper into that. My fellow seekers of truth, buckle up, because now we're getting into some murky waters. We've talked about the ancient battles on Mount Hermon, and we've dipped our toes into the mythological water surrounding this mystical mountain. But now, let's fast forward to the present day and take a look at something that's got conspiracy theorists buzzing. The United Nations base perched right on top of Mount Hermon. Yes, you heard that right. Amidst all the mystery and the lore, there's a very real, very modern presence on Mount Hermon, the UN. For those who don't know, the United Nations has had a peacekeeping base on Mount Hermon since the 1970s, nestled up there at about 9,000 feet above sea level. And officially, their mission is to monitor the ceasefire line between Syria and Israel. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? A noble mission to keep peace in a region that's seen more than its fair share of conflict. But here's the kicker. Why there? Why on Mount Hermon of all places? Let's put on our detective hats for a minute. Mount Hermon is not just a mountain, it's a strategic military asset. It has clear views for miles around, perfect for surveillance. And sure, from a military standpoint, having a base up there makes a lot of sense. You get to keep an eye on things, maintain a presence, and, keep the peace. But here's where things get interesting. There are other, more accessible locations that could serve the same purpose. Yet, they chose Mount Hermon. Why? Are they really just watching over the ceasefire, or is there something else they're watching over? Or worse, are they guarding something? Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions here, but some folks, and I'm not saying who, might find this a little suspicious. Think about it. A mountain with deep historical and mythological significance, rumored to be a hotspot for supernatural occurrences and maybe even extraterrestrial activity, and the UN decides to plop a base right on top of it. Coincidence? Maybe. But if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you know we don't believe in too many coincidences around here. And let's talk about what's really going on up there. I mean, have you ever wondered what exactly the UN peacekeepers are doing at 9,000 feet above sea level on a mountain that's covered in snow for much of the year? They're certainly not just building snowmen. And get this, reports from former peacekeepers are scarce. Very few people who have been stationed there have talked publicly about their experiences. And those who do, well, let's just say they've been pretty tight-lipped. Doesn't that strike you as odd? Some say they're conducting secret experiments. Others believe they're there to monitor or even communicate with extraterrestrial beings. And then there are those who think the UN base is actually protecting or hiding a portal to another dimension. Now, I know that sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel, but hey, stranger things have happened. Let's not forget Mount Hermon has been a place of intrigue for millennia. It's seen gods and angels, soldiers and spies. It's been a strategic vantage point, a spiritual crossroads, and a symbol of both divine power and celestial rebellion. So, why wouldn't it also be a point of interest for modern powers who might be interested in more than just keeping the peace? Of course, the official line from the UN is all about peacekeeping, monitoring the delicate balance between Israel and Syria, but could it be that there's another kind of balance they're interested in, one between this world and the next? I mean, if there were a portal to another dimension, wouldn't you want to keep a close eye on it? Or better yet, wouldn't you want to make sure that whatever's on the other side doesn't decide to come through? And then there's the technology. There's talk of high-tech surveillance equipment, advanced radar systems, and, get this, rumors of devices that can pick up more than just radio signals. Some even speculate that they're monitoring electromagnetic frequencies that don't naturally occur on Earth. Could this be a clue to something more? So what's the real story? Are the UN peacekeepers really there to keep two countries from going to war? Or is their mission something much more secretive? Could it be that they are guarding one of the most important and mysterious locations on Earth? Or perhaps they're studying it, learning from it, or even communicating with forces beyond our understanding? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one we're going to keep asking, because when it comes to Mount Hermon, there's always more than meets the eye. But let's take a break from the cloak and dagger stuff for a moment. Next up, we're diving into some of the more bizarre tales surrounding Mount Hermon, UFOs, portals, and paranormal phenomena. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. If you thought we were knee-deep in mystery before, hang on tight, because now we're diving headfirst into the weird and unexplained. Mount Hermon isn't just a mountain with a storied past and some sketchy modern military intrigue. Oh no, this place is also a magnet for high strangeness. Everything from UFO sightings to claims of portals to other dimensions. Yeah, we're going there. So let's kick things off with a topic that's been hot on the radar, literally UFOs. Believe it or not, Mount Hermon has been the site of numerous UFO sightings over the years. Now I know what you're thinking. Bennett, we've heard about UFO sightings all over the world. What makes Mount Hermon special? Well, I'm glad you asked. Remember how we talked about Mount Hermon being a place where the divine supposedly descended to Earth? In the ancient world, it was a place of supernatural events where gods or angels came down and made their presence known. Fast forward to today, and some people believe that this tradition of visitors from the sky is still alive and well, only now they're not so much heavenly as they are extraterrestrial. There have been numerous reports of strange lights hovering over Mount Hermon, sudden and unexplained flashes of light, and even metallic objects darting through the sky before disappearing behind the peaks. These aren't your average, I saw a blinking light in the sky UFO sightings either. Some witnesses claim these objects moved in ways that defy our understanding of physics, zigzagging across the sky, making 90-degree turns, and accelerating at speeds that would make even the most advanced jet pilots jealous. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Some of these sightings have been reported by people who were stationed at or near the UN base. That's right. Military personnel who have no reason to make up stories like this have seen some pretty bizarre stuff. And while official reports tend to sweep these incidents under the rug, some insiders, they have leaked just enough information to get the conspiracy wheels turning. So what's going on here? Are these just your run-of-the-mill UFO sightings, or is there something more to it? Well, some theorists believe that Mount Hermon might be more than just a mountain. It could be a hotspot for interdimensional activity. That's right, folks. Portals. And I'm not talking about the kind you find in a video game. I'm talking about real, physical gateways to other dimensions, right there on the slopes of Mount Hermon. Now, before you dismiss this as pure science fiction, consider this. For centuries, people have believed that certain places on Earth act as the thin spots where the veil between dimensions is particularly weak. Mountains with their lofty heights and ancient energies have often been seen as these kinds of places. And Mount Hermon, well, it's got all the ingredients: a long history of supernatural encounters, a location of strategic and symbolic importance, and now a modern-day UFO hotspot. But here's the real kicker. There are some who believe the UN is not just keeping peace on Mount Hermon, but actually guarding these portals, whether they're trying to prevent something from coming through or keeping us from going in. Well, that's up for debate, but the idea that there could be doorways to other dimensions on Mount Hermon is one that has captivated researchers, conspiracy theorists, and frankly, anyone with an imagination. One of the more fascinating claims involves something called the Hermon vortex theory. According to this theory, the mountain is the center of a powerful energy vortex. Think of it as a cosmic whirlpool that could connect different dimensions or even different timelines. Some people believe that this vortex is what attracts UFOs and paranormal phenomena to the area. It's like a giant beacon, drawing in beings or entities from other realms. There are stories of people who have hiked on Mount Hermon and experienced time slips, moments where they felt like they had either lost time or jumped forward in it. Others report seeing shadowy figures moving at the edges of their vision, only to disappear when they turn to look directly. These are the kinds of phenomena that make you wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's something more to this mountain than just rock and snow. And then, of course, we have the reports of the Watchers, not the fallen angels from the Book of Enoch, although you could argue that it's all connected. But modern-day claims of shadowy figures observing hikers and researchers on the mountain, people have reported the feeling of being watched, even when no one else was around. Some even claim to have seen figures that looked not quite human, tall, dark silhouettes standing just beyond the tree line or at the edge of a ridge, only to vanish into thin air. Now, I know, all of this sounds pretty far out there, but when you consider Mount Hermon's long history of mysterious and otherworldly events, maybe it's not so crazy after all. Maybe the mountain really is a place where the boundaries between worlds blur, where ancient beings once walked, and where the strange and unexplained continue to manifest. So whether you believe these are UFOs, interdimensional beings, or something else entirely, one thing is for sure. Mount Hermon is a place that defies easy explanation, and that's why we keep coming back to it, because sometimes the questions are more intriguing than the answers. Next up, we'll dive into what all of this could mean for us and why the mysteries of Mount Hermon might be more relevant to our world today than ever before. Could what's happening on this mountain impact you? After all we've covered about Mount Hermon, its strategic importance, its mythological lore, the mysterious UN base, UFO sightings, and claims of portals to other dimensions, it's time to ask the big question. What does all of this mean for us today? Why should we care about the strange things happening on this ancient mountain? First of all, let's start with the obvious. If even half of these stories are true, then Mount Hermon isn't just some mountain. It's a key player in a much bigger game. And this game? It's not just about ancient angels, modern militaries, or UFOs buzzing around the sky. It's about power, both the kind we can see and the kind we can't. Think about it. For thousands of years, civilizations have been drawn to this mountain. They fought over it, they worshipped on it, and some even believed it was the meeting place of gods and angels. And now, in our modern era, it's still a place of mystery. The UN base, the reports of strange lights and phenomena, it all adds up to something that feels a little too important to ignore. So, what does this mean for the average person? Well, let me pose a question. What if Mount Hermon is a key to understanding how our world really works? Not the world we see on the news, but the deeper world, the one that operates in the shadows, the world of secret governments, unexplained phenomena, and forces that have been influencing humanity since ancient times. You see, Mount Hermon could very well be a nexus, a place where the veil between dimensions is thinner, where ancient powers have gathered and may still be gathering. If there really is some kind of portal on that mountain, who's to say it isn't being used, or at least monitored by those who are in the know? What if the UN base isn't there to keep peace, but to keep watch? And if they're watching, what exactly are they watching for? Now, let's talk about what this could mean for the broader picture of human history, and more importantly, our future. If Mount Hermon has played a role in ancient lore, military conflicts, and paranormal encounters, then it suggests that certain places on this planet have deeper significance than we realize. These thin spots, or sacred sites, could be where the lines between reality and other realms blur. And if that's the case, what other places might hold similar secrets? But there's more. Let's go back to the ancient stories of the Watchers, the fallen angels who descended to Mount Hermon. Whether you believe in the literal truth of these stories or see them as symbolic representations of something greater, the fact remains that they hold a powerful message. Humanity has always been in a tug-of-war between forces beyond our control. Those forces could be divine, extraterrestrial, or interdimensional, or maybe all of the above. What if the knowledge passed down from the Watchers is still influencing us today, shaping the world in ways we can't fully comprehend? Consider this. Modern technology has advanced at a mind-boggling pace. From AI to quantum physics, we're on the cusp of breakthroughs that seem almost magical compared to the world of just a few decades ago. Could some of this knowledge, this forbidden knowledge, as the myths say, have roots in something much older, something ancient and perhaps otherworldly? Maybe the reason we're seeing such rapid advancement is because these forces, these Watchers, or whoever they may be, are still pulling strings behind the scenes. And then there's the matter of control. If there are powers watching over places like Mount Hermon, and if these places are gateways or nexuses of some kind, what does that mean for us as individuals? Are we truly in control of our own destiny, or are we being influenced by unseen forces? It's not a comfortable thought, but it's one we need to consider. Maybe Mount Hermon is just one piece of the puzzle, a clue that there's a lot more going on in this world and beyond it than we're being told. But here's the silver lining. Even if there are forces at play that we don't fully understand, knowledge is power. The more we dig into these mysteries, the more we ask questions, the more we uncover, the closer we get to the truth. And that's what Broadcasting Seeds is all about. Planting those seeds of curiosity, giving you the tools to question the official narratives, and helping you see that the world is a far stranger and more complex place than you've ever imagined. So what can we do with this knowledge? For starters, stay curious. Keep asking the tough questions. Don't just accept things at face value, whether it's about Mount Hermon, the UN, or any other strange phenomenon. There's always more beneath the surface. And in a world where it feels like the truth is constantly being obscured, that curiosity, that hunger for answers, is our greatest weapon. Mount Hermon, with all its history, myth, and modern-day mysteries, is just one example of the larger forces at work in our world. It reminds us that the past isn't really past, and that ancient secrets still have the power to shape our present and future. Whether you're fascinated by the supernatural, curious about UFOs, or just someone who loves a good conspiracy, there's something to learn from Mount Hermon's enduring mystery. So what's the takeaway? Keep your eyes open. The truth is out there, on Mount Hermon, and maybe even in your own backyard. All you have to do is be willing to look for it. Well, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Broadcasting Seeds. We've climbed the ancient and mysterious slopes of Mount Hermon together, exploring its rich history, mythological significance, and the strange, unexplainable phenomena that continue to surround it today. From the Watchers descending in the Book of Enoch, to modern UFO sightings, to the suspiciously placed UN base, it's clear that this mountain holds secrets we're only beginning to scratch the surface of. Whether it's a divine meeting place, a military hotspot, or the location of a hidden portal to another dimension, Mount Hermon challenges our understanding of reality. It reminds us that the world is much bigger and much stranger than we think. And while we may never know the full truth about what's happening on that mountain, one thing's for sure, it's a place that continues to spark curiosity, inspire questions, and fuel the imagination of truth seekers like you and me. So, as we bring this episode to a close, I want to leave you with this. Never stop asking questions. Never stop looking deeper. Because out there, In the shadows of history and myth lies the truth. And who knows, maybe one day we'll finally uncover what's really going on at Mount Hermon and beyond. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, share, and review the podcast. Your support helps us reach more people who, just like you, are eager to explore the strange, the unexplained, and the downright mysterious. You can also follow us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes, sneak peeks, and all things cryptid, conspiracy, and beyond. Thanks for tuning in to Broadcasting Seeds. Until next time, keep your eyes open, stay curious, and remember, the truth is out there just waiting to be uncovered.
I got bad thoughts that make my mind scared, hold me hostage and they don't fight fair. Who gon' pray for me and wipe all my tears? Who gon' save me if you not right here? Move this darkness and make my sight clear. Take me away cause I don't like here. Ghosts of my past, they feeling the night air. Wake me up, I'm trapped in my nightmares. Wake me up, I'm trapped in my nightmares. Drowning, I'm off the deep end. Apparitions of all my demons. All my thoughts are committing treason. All alone, who gon' hear me screaming? Manifestations of my fears. Regrets that stretched out for light years. Can almost touch the light, homie, it's right there. Body free but trapped in my nightmares. Wake me up, don't let me drown.